Welcome, everybody, back to another episode of Paramerican Radio. As always, I am your host, Chad Calek, here with my Roberto Duran to Sugar Ray Leonard, Mr. No Mas himself, Justin Holstein.
In the flesh.
How's it going, Justin?
Good.
Good. And as always, because we don't have a guest, as I say, we have the best guest. Mr. Tender Steve Zilberman, giving the ladies what they want. Steve, what's going on in your world, my friend?
Not much, man. You know, an artist's life is so interesting because after tour, I'm not even exaggerating, I went like 3 weeks sitting at home. I watched every movie you could think of, every
Really?
TV show you could think, and now I have like 2 jobs a day, man. I can't even catch up. It's just there's like no in between. It's either like you're doing absolutely nothing or you just have no time to do anything.
God, I wish I had a day. I think I took, right when I came home, I had to go right back into work because we were actually prepping for the tour. And I think I had 1 day off when we realized it wasn't going to work out this time. And that 1 day was so awesome. I literally was like, okay, I have worked consistently now for like 60 days in a row. I am taking tomorrow off. I think it was like a Thursday or something. And it was so fun because I opened up Netflix and YouTube and went to fucking town,
Oh
dude,
my
for
God.
like
There's
12 hours.
So many good shows.
So many
man.
good series, and I didn't even try to watch all of them. I just wanted to watch an episode or 2 of each of them, so I could at least be a part of the fucking meme stories
Oh,
and
right.
shit. You know what I mean?
No, I do the same thing.
Yeah, I just watched so many of them, and I gotta tell you this: there's a new series that I am fucking stoked about, and it remains to be seen if it's gonna be good or not. I just watched the first episode, and it was pretty dope. It's called Finding Escobar's Money. I think that's what it's called. No, Finding Escobar's Millions. And it is 2 CIA guys that are going down to Medellin, and because they estimate, they said at his height he was making $60 million a day. Okay,
Right.
that's how much. And they estimate that there's over $1 billion hidden that's unaccounted for as of today. That's either buried or in walls and all these places. And to be honest, a lot of people, I didn't know this, but before Escobar was killed, if he were to be extradited back to the U.S., he had plans in play to still run the cartel from the U.S. prison. And so he had different guys that he left with money that were like, pretty much, if I get taken out, people don't get to get my money. Like, you guys now have the money, and now it's up to you, you know what I mean, to protect it, basically. Well, once Pablo was killed, they don't talk about it, but they arrested shit, man. The vast majority of his empire crumbled, right? Because you cut the head off a snake, and these guys did not know his inner workings on purpose. He factioned things up where they didn't know how shit ran.
Right.
So they just think that there's billions of dollars that are untouched to this day that people don't know, and people are also afraid of it. Like, if they got the money, they were like, oh shit, the CIA is coming after it, so is these other guys, so is the Escobar family.
What are you going to do that? The money probably looks so old and it's in bad shape. Like, you're going to go to the bank with like $1 million.
They probably buried it in plastic bags and stuff.
Yeah, but do you know
some
how
of
many
it was, some of
transitions?
it wasn't, though. They said that a lot of it was wrapped in, cellophane, you know what I mean? Or
But the
saran
money
wrap
looks
and shit.
really old. They don't have, their money doesn't look like that anymore.
I don't know.
Super
Does it?
Obvious.
Does it? I don't know.
Well, I don't know how it used to look like, but their new money doesn't look like that old.
Our old $20 bills spend the same.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Our old $20 bills. Those old $20 bills.
Yeah, they still spend the same.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Old $1 bills spend the same. We have $2 bills you can use.
They look different.
I'm not saying they
from
look
the
different,
70s.
but I'm saying, like, we have $2 bills right now. U.S. has
Right,
$2 bills
right.
that are
I have
from,
one
like, the
on my wallet.
70s. Yeah, you can spend it.
Sure.
It's legal tender. So even if that money's old, that doesn't
Right.
mean that it's not legal tender.
Exactly.
But do you guys have any
Exactly.
cash in your wallets right now?
Huh?
Do you guys have
Actually,
any
I
cash?
I have a $2 bill only.
A $2 bill
Yeah.
in your wallet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Is that us? It's not anything.
Yeah, but I'm saying that's legal tender. You can spend that.
What year?
Right. Isn't it Jackson that's
Oh
on
my
that?
gosh, 2003.
Oh, so they're still making them.
Yeah, I
right,
guess they're
okay,
still
so there you
making
go. But those go way back. I mean, silver dollars go way back. They're still, you know what I mean? So even if the money's changed. But what's really cool about this, like in the first 10 minutes of the show, these two, and these are I looked online. These are legitimate guys. Actually, one guy, he says for the first time, he was like, "My real name is this," and he goes, "I guess I can say that now as of today because I've been active until right now."
Wow.
And you know what I mean? So yeah, he says who his name is and all this shit, and they were really in it. You know what I mean? They were really dudes and they have pictures of them and things of them, like really into it, man. And I was like, this is so sick. These are real CIA agents or ex. And the first thing they do is meet with the real two guys from Narcos that took down Pablo.
Oh, wow.
They meet with both of them. And they're going to meet with Pablo's head, this guy Juan Escobar, his head fucking henchman, his head mercenary, the guy that's killed, hundreds of people and shit for him. So it was a really cool opening episode.
Wow.
And what's really dangerous is what's really cool about it is that there is real danger in what they're doing. You know what I mean? Real danger. And they kind of explain it and what's going on. So it was, just super cool. That's a great show. I know we always talk about Escobar, and that's just one of the best stories ever. You know what I mean? What's crazy about Escobar is in his lifetime, he went from being dirt nothing to, at one point, arguably the wealthiest man in the world. You know what I mean? Which is crazy. I mean, how he's able to do that is crazy. But yeah, so I get you. When you have those days off, it's awesome. I wish I would have had 3 weeks off. That'd have been nice.
Well, that kind of happens.
Well, I didn't want them. I didn't want 3
No,
weeks.
no.
But it's
you
up
know
and
why
down,
that
right?
happens?
In your situation,
You know
I get
that
it.
happens when you come back from tour and you.
Well, you're a freelancer. You don't got
Because
shit
no
built
one knows
up.
you're back.
Well, I mean, it's all about this whole industry. Everything's about connections. I mean, it's like if
Right.
people know you're around, you're talking to them, you go to the parties, and you know how many jobs you're telling me
Don't
about. That
even
you
Think about it, Steve.
No, I
I mean, you were telling me about the other day. How many times you told me stories like going, "Oh yeah, man, I was at this party and I got this
Yeah, I
job.
got
This
the-
person came
Yeah,
up."
yeah.
And when you're not at those parties, when nobody even knows you anymore, dude. You come home and it's like
It's
you're in
true.
a
Well, it
vacuum.
also just depends on
it's true.
but you can easily get past that. It depends on how in contact you want to be when you're back here, because I could be lining shit up like crazy and working on stuff I'm out if every day I'm talking to people and doing
Right.
Problem is when I'm on tour, I focus on the tour. That's just that's
exactly.
the job at hand.
Yeah.
You don't have a tendency to
Right.
keep
Yeah.
but it's possible. I mean you
Right.
can do it, you know what I mean?
One of my
Right?
It's
First-
possible to do an extent where you could help it, but you still don't have the personal connection. You can't go to the parties. You can't hang out.
Well,
You can't have
one of my first pieces of advice moving here was like
Show up.
party every day. Go to parties. Find as many parties as you can, because that's what LA
Well,
is
especially
about.
if you're in the freelance game. Like if that's your gig, then yeah, of course. You know what I mean?
but I like it a lot, man. I was on a film set the other day, like a legit film set, big budget, and it felt like a 9 to 5 to me.
Yep.
And it was almost a 9 to 5. Dude.
Well, it will be. And the thing is, you'll get to a point in your career when you know enough people where you won't necessarily have to be here all the time. Because one of the things I've noticed is I know tons of guys that moved out here, made the connections, and don't live here anymore.
Oh.
And that moved to different states and shit, and they're just connected enough where they go do shit all the time.
Right.
But they were here for like a decade.
Right,
Meeting
right.
all those people and doing all that shit, and
All
now
the
they're just
footwork.
tied into what they're doing. Right, exactly. I mean, I honestly believe if I'm here for another 5 to 7 years, I could if I wanted to. I don't want to.
Run
I love Los
LA.
Angeles. Well, no, I just think if I wanted to leave LA and go somewhere, could I still do the same level of work? I think so.
Yeah.
If there's another 5 to 7 years
Yeah,
or so.
come back for meetings.
Yeah,
maybe
right.
to-
You have to come back when you need to come back
Right.
for, and shit like that. I mean, I love LA. I was talking about it yesterday. We were looking at the ocean yesterday. I was like, God damn, I love it here. Like I said, I wouldn't want to, but it's possible. More so in today's world too than it used to be 20 years ago. But yeah, no, you're right. When you're present, obviously, it's a different ballgame. You know what I mean? We can do that, but it's becoming easier and easier though to get past it. I think so, anyways.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I get it. What's weird for touring with me, it just takes me a real week or so to. It sounds crazy, but to remember how to live,
Oh, of
not off
course.
tour.
Yeah.
It's weird,
No,
I
it's
mean, I
true.
wake up, I'm like, yeah, jeez. So fuck. I used to start my days on the computer, I guess, right? So I'm
Yeah.
like, hey, let me go do that. Let me take a shower quick, and yeah.
It takes 24 days to create a habit, man. We were on tour
Yeah.
longer than.
I think it's
24
even
days.
worse for people it's not just learning how to tour. I think we all take for granted, man. It's probably our perception on being able to, absorb conspiracy and everything else and be woke is that happens through. Somebody can have a 9 to 5 job and you do the same thing every day and you get very accustomed and dependent on this context, in this atmosphere, you literally, if you had to go quit that job and start a new job, your stomach is just, like overcome with butterflies, and you don't know if you're going to do it right and whatever. If you're a freelancer and you do that every day, I remember when I started freelancing, I started out, I would get the butterflies and think, God, am I going to do everything right today? And I don't want to look stupid, and I don't, and
almost every shoot.
It took, I don't know, like a year or two working random new jobs all the time until I got to the point where I'm like going, I haven't fucked anybody up yet. Why am I always still getting nervous about this? And that nervousness starts to kind of go away, man. Where you get confidence in yourself.
You're right. It's the uncertainty of what you're getting. Because it's not like I'm not aware of my abilities, or I don't trust my abilities. I do, but for whatever reason I still always get nervous going to a new gig all the time.
I get that. Every night when we're out on the road, I get nervous. It's weird. It never happens until that minute before I go on the stage. We're standing backstage and you put the camera on me and I start trying to joke around and shit. I'm trying to loosen myself up because every night it does not happen until we're right behind the stage and I can hear the crowd rumbling, you know what I mean? And there's a part where it just goes, oh God, don't fuck this up, or don't look stupid, or be calm, dude. Go out there and be funny, and be relaxed.
It's a different thing too. Like in my situation on stage, it's not that high pressure because I don't have to remember how to tell a whole narrative for an hour, or you know what I mean?
It's hard.
What's challenging about that, especially the way my brain works, is I'm all over the place. I don't know what the hell I was just talking about 5 minutes ago, much less keep this consistent story, in some semblance, and knowing where to pick up.
Consistent pacing.
Well, I always do it because I don't want it to be verbatim. I do it by a mental outline where I know, to tell the joke about Justin's my partner, the partner joke, you know what I mean? He's not my partner in life, he's my partner, you know what I mean? And then there's, jokes that happen later on, where you talk about, seeing the white lady. I don't want to look at her because if I look at her, she becomes real. And it's just so. It's I always have points that I know I got to hit, and then I try to do my best to ad lib in between those points, so it comes off as fresh. Because if it's ad libbed, you know what I mean? It's just like reading something.
That's how a lot of rappers freestyle like that.
Of course, it's just when I do narration for the films that we do. The reason my narration always sounds so normal and smooth because I don't read it. You know what I mean? I'll write it down, and I'll read it like that over and over and over and over and over again.
Oh, yeah.
But when I record it, I set it away.
Right.
And then I just start going off of it. That way you can't hear that, that patter that comes from reading dictation. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's why that voice in my films, it's the one thing I know that's always been really effective, is the voice, my narration drives home emotion. And it does because I set the paper down.
Your voice, too. I think you would make a great hypnotherapist, I feel like.
Yeah, no, it's a deep voice. And right, exactly, totally. Especially at the end of it, too. There's that great part in Sir No Face where it goes, had so-and-so never did this, Sir No Face would not exist. Yep. You know what I mean? It's like that, this is a ghost. Sir No Face lives. And all that stuff, it's really cool because it's intentionally building up to deliver that line without it sounding cheesy, without it sounding like you're proclaiming something, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And the way to do that is to just put the fucking paper down, you know what I mean? Don't dictate it. So anyways, enough of Chad Kalek's filmmaking secrets. I came across a story that I just wanted to share with you guys, and I just thought it was fucking one of the weirdest things I'd ever heard of. And from everything I researched, this is legitimate stuff that happened. And it was something that happened. It was in 1974, okay? And it was in an island just off the coast of Florida, okay? A guy named Terry Matthew Betz, 21 years old. There was a fire in this property that he had. And he went out to see what was going on in this fire in this property. And while he was out there, he found this. It was about 8 inches around, and it was a silver ball. And it was just this perfectly silver ball. And the only thing he had on it was a triangle. It had some kind of triangle, indentation to it. And he's like, I wonder what the fuck this is. So he picks this ball up, and he brings this silver ball back home to his house. He sits it on the table, and it just sits there forever. Nothing happens with it. He was thinking, maybe it was an old cannonball or something like that. What the fuck? So he was a musician. So one day he starts sitting around playing guitar, and as he starts playing guitar, the ball starts moving in patterns. The silver ball, and he's like, what in the fuck is going on? He's like, whoa. Bling, bling, and starts going, moving around. So he's going, whoa, what is going on? And he's like, what the hell? So at that time, he was sitting there. He had the curtains closed and all that stuff. And he wanted to get a better look at it when he was in. So he opened up the curtains. Then when the sunlight hit it, it started like vibrating and started moving around in circles. And he was like, what in the fuck? So he like pushes it off the table, and it would avoid doing whatever it took to fall. So go to the end of the table, stop. No matter how hard he pushed it, he'd push it and go, thump, stop and start moving around, and then it wouldn't fall off the table no matter how much he pushed it. And in fact, he put it on the ground, and it started moving around in circles around him. And then he put this a board sideways like this to see if it would try to climb back up the table, which it did. It rolled up the table back onto the table. And he's like, what in the shit is this? And then it started doing things like making weird sound and a low humming vibration. And he's like, So he starts inviting the press over to see it. Like, what the fuck is this thing? So the press comes over to look at it, and he's demonstrating playing guitar. And I mean, I'm talking the New York Times did a story on it, his local paper, like ton Japanese press, like all this stuff did this story about the Matthew Betz ball. They didn't know what the hell it was. And he's like, I don't know what it is either. And they said, what do you think it is? And at first he thought that it was like Sputnik. He honestly thought that potentially it was a Sputnik or something of the kind, because I'll show you a picture of it here, what it looked like.
So they have pictures of it.
Oh, yeah. No, well, sure. Yeah, it's crazy.
I could tell you just didn't believe any of this when I was looking at your face when you were listening.
Well, no, I was waiting to get to that part where and then it vanished and we never found it. Oh, wow.
Okay.
Huh.
So eventually the Navy heard about it, and they were like, what the fuck? So the Navy swooped in and said, in case you're wondering, not one of ours. We would like to see what this is. Can we, take it? And he was like, well, not without me. I want it's mine. You know what I mean? It's my property. I found it. I want to come with it. And oddly enough, the Navy allowed him to do it. They're like, okay. Wow. So they took him in, and they did an x-ray on the ball. And they found out that inside the ball were a number of other spheres that moved around, right? Whenever it moved, they'd move in a certain pattern on shit. And they wanted to, cut into it. And he was like, no. He's like, no, I'm not going to have you do anything. I'm fascinated with how it works. He said he felt some personal connection to it. He believed it was alive to some capacity. The Terry Betz guy did. So after the Navy looked over it and did other stuff, they had other military officials come in, and they determined to the best of their knowledge that it wasn't a threat, but they didn't know what it was. So they actually allowed him to take this home with him, where it resides up until today. The guy has it today in his house, okay? But he said when he got home after taking it and after people doing all kinds of shit to it and giving x-rays, things got way weird, almost like it was pissed. They started experiencing crazy paranormal activity in their house. Doors would open and shut and just slam like crazy in his house at night. They would hear high-pitched screams, laughing, music, really odd music would start emanating from the ball and all this shit. And they said that it would do things like when they would fight, like in arguments, it would raise and slam and hit shit really hard, like it was feeding off their energy. Like it would mimic whatever they did. You know what I mean? And what's crazy is he has the ball of him still today. And supposedly it still does all that same shit today. It's just a centerfold, a part of their family, and it exists. Well, it turns out that throughout history, across the world, there's been a number of times where people have found these silver balls that do this. And there were different reports in other countries of the same type of thing. Germany had one of them that they found that was in their possession that did the same shit, and they don't know where it came from. So there was a guy that started looking into it and documenting. It turns out that this has been something that's been going on in different capacities all over the world, that there are metal spheres or in stone balls and things like this that have fallen from the sky to the ground. And oddly enough, these things go back into great paintings. Like this painting is a very famous painting called The Glorification of the Eucharist, which, as you can see, has them holding onto this steel ball, which seems to be antennas. And what's crazy about...
That's a real painting?
It's a real painting. like from the
that's so
17th
funny.
century,
Huh.
right? And it's like, well, are those antennas that they're holding? What the fuck is that?
Yeah.
Well, look at
What's going on?
what's
in that
crazy
picture?
is look at. Let me grab a photo of. I thought I snapped it. It's really.
Yeah, it looks like a TV or something. You know, it
Yeah, I
doesn't
don't
look
know,
like
man.
something from the. As you said, what century?
17
17th century.
Well, it's fairly late
I mean,
too.
it-
That's
does, but it kind of, yeah, I don't know.
Well, what's crazy is okay. This is fucking what's crazy. Hold on. Okay, so you look at that picture, the glorification of the Eucharist.
Right.
So you have that photo, right? That's what it looks like, right?
Yeah.
Here is a picture of Sputnik. You know what I mean? It almost looks
wow.
it almost looks like the same goddamn thing that they're holding on to. You know what I mean? So, which begs the question is, back in the 17th century, like, were these things flying around and falling out of the sky then? You know what I mean? And is that a picture of a satellite from the 1700s
Or did-
that they're reaching down and touching? You know what I mean? This
Or
sphere
did
globe.
did Russia get their idea for Sputnik from?
Which is where I was going. Is this a long thing that they've known? Different governments have known what they were. So when
Right.
it came to putting drone into orbit, were they actually using technology that they discovered off of this?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because none of us know how. Like, I don't know how satellites get up in the air and do what they do. Like, Sputnik, for example. How did it get up there? Like, I don't know.
Cannon.
I have no idea.
what do you mean? You launching a rocket?
Cannonball.
Yeah.
Is that what they did? Launching
Yeah,
a rocket?
yeah.
Have you seen the footage of it?
Well, no. I mean, I was there, obviously, but what I'm saying is that this is how they got it into space.
So that's what they told you.
Yeah.
But if you've seen photos or video of it at all,
Well, they didn't. First of all, they didn't have video
Yes,
at
they
that
did.
time.
when they put Sputnik
Yeah,
up,
yes,
bullshit,
they did.
didn't.
Yeah, they did, man.
Yeah,
for
they did.
sure.
When was video
Did that
created?
video in like the 20s,
Yeah.
man.
Video was not created in the 20s. Film was.
Film, same shit. What I'm saying is,
Yeah.
whether they had film or whatever, right? Did they not document the rocket
remember
taking
the-
Sputnik to space? I just
Dude,
never seen it.
the famous Kennedy news story, like how many years after Sputnik was that?
Oh yeah, big time. No, they definitely had film footage, right?
Yeah,
I'm just
oh,
saying,
for
I've never
sure.
seen any of it,
I'm
and,
sure
and it's
they
odd. And I
documented.
searched for it, and it was odd that I didn't see any of it. And what's even more odd is all the satellites that have ever been launched into space. I've never seen any footage of them being launched or how they're launched. I'm not saying that they're not launched as, like you're saying, with the rockets. I've never seen it. You know what I mean? So, like, when you say maybe they used that technology to create Sputnik, maybe they did, and maybe these things can hover, because this guy was saying these things could lift
Right.
up and smash into the table and could do all this stuff. You know what I mean? So maybe
Well,
yeah.
and no one's ever cut one open.
Not that's known.
I don't understand. Like, why don't more people experiment on it, or
What's
different
really
groups?
right? What's really strange is he still has the ball today.
Right.
Well, isn't that something
We should
strange
call
in
him, man.
America in the sense there's private was property rights in America, right? I mean, it's part of the law system. Now, I mean, there's lots that gets circumnavigated with the new, after Bush was in office and they passed some of the legislation, but it gets tricky. I guess if the press had come out enough about these balls, and that's the first round of people knowing that they own it, it's now identified as a private property of these
Well,
people.
I think the best step he made is going to the press first.
Now in Russia,
Right.
different story, man. Nobody
Right.
cares if it's your private
Yeah, of
property.
course.
I come and get it,
But okay, yeah, I don't know that.
This
We
is
should
crazy
call him
stuff.
up.
Right, dude. I would love to try to get a hold of
Make
him.
a documentary.
And just be like, yeah, dude, I got to see the ball do its shit. You got to show me, man. You know what I mean? Because this is
Oh my
crazy
gosh,
if this
yeah.
is real. And from all accounts, it's real. I mean, it's from every account that I've read online,
Right.
there's not even anybody questioning it. Like, there's like, yeah, no, it's real. And these things fall out of the sky all over and they have been for millennia. I was
Huh.
like, what the fuck? These things that...
So what do you
that-
think it is?
I don't know. I mean,
You don't even have any
obviously... Well, I mean, we all know what the Black Knight satellite is, right? You know what the Black Knight satellite is?
No.
No.
Wow. Well, okay. Well, we got to do a whole episode on this, but I'm going to tell you briefly what it is. I will set up this for a future episode. The Black Knight satellite has been... the first person to identify it was actually Tesla. Tesla basically received a frequency off the Black Knight satellite, which was a satellite that does a polar orbit. And at that time, man had not ever achieved a polar orbit on anything.
We didn't have any orbits. Tesla died in before we even had a space program. Yeah.
Right. So, and Tesla identified, got a signal from this. I'll show you. There's multiple photos of the Black Knight that have been captured over the years. The photos of it are just mind blowing. Well, here's the first photo of it. This was, you can see right here. This was taken off the ISS. Yeah.
It looks freaking crazy.
So there's no reports of trying to, a lot of times there's a site that says debunked, and you read whether or not it's legit or not, they'll make a case for what this
Why haven't they grabbed it out of the air?
Yeah, the thing is, I'm not going to say that there's not, because no matter what there is, there's somebody that tries to say something's not something.
Right, sure.
But I haven't came across that. I've came across nothing but sites saying that range from, we know what it is, it's an alien satellite that's been here forever, to the site saying it's up there. We don't know what it is, why it is. We know Tesla, was the first person to identify it, and identified it before, we ever went in, to space. And it's been caught on numerous occasions emitting radio frequencies. But the biggest telltale factor is it was doing polar orbit, which is, man did not know how to do at that time. So the Black Knight satellite, really, really crazy story. There's actually a fictional film coming out about it that's written off real cases about it. But it's been seen by multiple astronauts too. Have gone up and said, "Hey, I'm looking at the Black Knight right now." You know what I mean?
Wow.
So yeah, really crazy. But so that's when you say what are these spherical balls? Well, fuck. Look, if the Black Knight's been doing a polar orbit for how long? Obviously, there's things around, space that are coming there. When you look at that, giant iron ball that's in Mexico and just buried in dirt, it's smashed through or was put there. So, if it's... I go back to exactly what you said. It's the Sherlock Holmes thing.
Right.
The most obvious answer is probably the answer.
But there is no obvious answer. It was used to spy?
Well, the most obvious answer to me is that it's an alien satellite that eventually burned through the atmosphere and fell. It was in low Earth orbit.
Oh,
and eventually, just like satellites do,
right.
you know what I mean? They burn up and come through. But this was designed to obviously keep going.
It's funny. That reminds me so much of the whole Stanley Kubrick Black Monolith of 2001. This black intelligence that supposedly was there, and all the monkeys became smart, etc. Yeah. And then they transition into a modern day spacecraft. Which obviously he's making the case that it was alien. All of our intelligence came from an alien species.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Listen, we'll obviously wrap this up right now and go to break. But I would, to those out there, I can promise you, I'm going to try to give this guy a call. I'm going to try to track him down at least, and see if he'll take the call.
What's his name again?
Was it Terry or?
1 second. His name is Terry Matthew Betz. And it is actually it's called George Island is where he lives. A small island just off the coast of Jacksonville, and so he still has it. I would love, and if I do call him, obviously, guys, with his permission, I'll record the interview and see what he has to say, because those are mind bending stories, and everything that I'm reading, I haven't read anything to at all, and I looked that debunked this.
Right.
This is crazy. You know what I mean?
If I were him, man, I would just make an Instagram account, The Sphere, and every day just post him doing weird things with the sphere.
Yeah.
It would explode. And see, and if something like that happened, you have the entire world looking at it. You can't not,
Well, that's what I'm saying. I would love to just go, hey, listen, dude, let me come there and play guitar and let me see it do that. You know what I mean? Let me film it. Let me show people. What's the problem?
Part is, so here we are talking about whatever it is, the shooter in Las Vegas or Trump as president. And the whole time, there's a sphere in somebody's house that's doing this. That should be the biggest news out there, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Where'd it come from? Where'd it come? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it has nothing
on
on
it. A bunch
it
of spheres inside of it, too. That's what's super bizarre to me.
Yeah. The spheres
sphere made up of spheres.
Yeah. But just follow the sky.
But think about that, though. That would make the most sense, because gears are, they're linear, right? They're flat. But spheres are is it 3 or 4 dimensional? 3-dimensional.
Global, yeah.
Right. So they can move in any direction around each other. So, if you were an alien species that was extremely intelligent, would you have like these like linear, just like flat gears, or would you have something that can, move around in any direction, any way? Makes sense.
Yeah, it's fucking weird, man. Look, I gotta try to reach out and get a hold of him, because again, I'd be floored if he just said, "Yeah, man, come on down. No one ever calls, man." Well, what? You know what I mean? Yeah, sure, you can come see it. I'd be like, "What the fuck? I'm on a plane tomorrow." You know what I mean?
Where's he located again?
An island just off the coast of Jacksonville, Florida.
George Island.
St. George Island. Yeah.
Jacksonville, Florida, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know that place
And they
really
say
well.
he's there today, and he has a wife. His mother also experienced it. Like, I mean, that's the thing. It's like there's just no one refuting it. You know what I mean? I mean, it's just crazy.
You would think that would just be really tough. I mean,
Right.
Imagine you're in his neighbors, and right next door,
This guy has some weird
Matthew's
thing.
got a friggin' space ball in there, man. You know?
Yeah, that does wild shit when he plays guitar, and won't fall on the ground. What the fuck? You know what I mean? Well, everybody, I will check it out. I will try to call him. I will update you guys and let you know. Sometime in the future, we will do an episode on the Black Knight satellite and get into it much deeper, because we just touched on the surface of that. There's a much greater story to this that's really, really fascinating. But we will be right back after this break, which Steve will take us down the rabbit hole. And this time we have a few questions from you guys, which we will each answer one question that you've sent in. We'll be right back with more Paramerican Radio. Peace.
Paramerican Radio will be right back after this commercial break with even more dope-ass shit.
Six hours ago, a guy that I befriended about a year ago named Craig Powell sent me several pieces of film of events, strange things that he captured. The reason I'm so tired right now is because I have watched this footage for 6 hours straight. Either Craig and his team have pulled off one of the most advanced, complex hoaxes that the paranormal field has ever known, or the footage that I'm looking at, if this footage is real, and I will find out if it is, then Craig has definitively proven that ghosts exist.
You believe in ghosts?
I believe that there is strange stuff out there. Whether you want to call it a ghost, a spirit, I don't know what they are. That's what we're trying to figure out.
So whether you believe it or you're a skeptic, when spooky things happen, who are you going to call? This guy, Ghost Hunter Craig Powell from Western Sydney Paranormal Research. G'day, Craig.
On February 22nd, 2013, the Australian government emails civilian Craig Powell with an unusual request.
So you're out there debunking ghost claims?
Well, we try to. We always look for a rational explanation before we look into the paranormal stuff.
Due to countless ghost sightings reported on the government-owned grounds of Sydney Harbour's Cockatoo Island, Powell was offered unlimited, around-the-clock access to the island in order to conduct an extensive paranormal investigation to determine if past claims of paranormal activity could be discounted or substantiated.
I need to be in that situation. I need to be there. I need to know the surrounding environment. What we need to do is we need to be on site and we need to have a look at it properly for ourselves.
Interested in the paranormal claims and aware of Cockatoo Island's dark past as a convict prison, Powell accepted the offer to lead his team in what would become the first paranormal investigation in history to be officially sanctioned by the Australian government.
What we're trying to do is figure out what it is, why it's happening, how it happens, why some people see it, why some people don't see it.
The WSPR investigation would last nearly 2 years, in which the activity experienced and the evidence captured would change the lives of all involved forever. As Powell and his team were unaware from the onset of the investigation that someone, something, an entity was waiting for them.
Same things, but it was at exactly the same time. Oh, fuck! Jesus Christ!
An entity that allowed its voice to be heard. An entity that would reveal its own name. An entity that on countless occasions allowed its unique abilities to be filmed.
Thanks, sir. That was
Awesome. That was really bright.
There were no shadows. It didn't cast shadows when it flashed. It's one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen with my own eyes.
And before the investigation came to a close, this entity did something completely unexpected. From only feet in front of a recording camera, the entity decided to show Craig and his team exactly what a ghost really looks like.
Thanks, sir. I asked him to do something there.
So the camera was actually sitting in this far corner, and just out through the door there is where the footage came from.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
What did you experience at Cockatoo Island?
I witnessed the lights.
You witnessed the lights?
Yes.
Okay, so you're
From the
telling
start.
me that you and a bunch of people sat in a room with no power, and
That's
the
correct.
room was lighting up?
Yes.
Okay. So, essentially when you say that I feel like I had a connection, you're talking about like you feel like you met a spirit out there and you formed a bond of some kind.
Yes.
Okay. You do understand this sounds fucking crazy.
To everybody else, I don't really care.
Do you believe this is a ghost doing this?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You have zero fraction of doubt in your mind.
Yeah.
How long have you been in the team?
5 years.
So you know these guys well.
Yeah, I know them really well. I know them really well. Too well.
No chance anybody on your team faked it?
If I ever believe that one of our team members faked it, I'll throw him off the fucking balcony.
Really?
Nah. Why would we go out and do that?
Are you guys paid?
No.
Would you guys like to get paid?
Well, it'd be nice.
Sure. There's just so many reasons to hoax. There's so many reasons to hoax.
Give me a good one.
Make your life better.
Why?
It could bring fame, fortune.
And look, and it could, but you know, there's been times where our kids have missed out on stuff because we've put money in towards Whisper. We can't go on holidays because we've got
all
Whisper.
great reasons to hoax.
No, but this just goes to, yeah, it could be, but you know, we all have our paid jobs and then there's the love job.
What do you think's on that film?
I think it's the spirit of someone.
My neighbor is the best software animator. He is the guy that's hired to create Transformers. As one of the elite animators working in Hollywood today, Patterson specializes in computer-generated imagery, also known as CGI. Routinely hired as a senior animator on major studio feature films with budgets in excess of $100 million, Patterson's understanding and ability to digitally manipulate film is amongst the best in the world. Here's a few examples of films you may know that feature Patterson's CGI work and abilities.
There were many changes. Some you could see, some you couldn't. Hair had started growing in all sorts of places.
So he can take that footage, and he can tell me without a shadow of a fucking doubt if that has been fucked with, if it's fake or anything else.
Do you know what? I've been waiting for someone to say that, man, because I don't have the ability to do that myself.
I do.
Well, let's do it.
Old friend precious, I'm here. Step away from the window and go back to sleep.
You have a team full of people who are almost near tears saying the whole experience changed their life.
If they're all lying, they have fucking Marlon Brando acting skills. You know, I mean, like, everything you're taught as a team, right, as a ghost hunter, they did everything right. And the reason you're taught these things is because these things, if you film something like that, the protocol will lead you to proof and not evidence. These guys followed the protocol. This is the most definitive ghost evidence and ghost case that will ever be presented. There is nothing else I could think of that even compares to this.
Thanks, sir.
When you see that moment, I looked at my buddy, he looked at me, and we're like, wow, way more than what we expected. It was really intense, and it's gonna blow you away, so it's definitely worth coming out and seeing.
He perfectly said everything that I was thinking and feeling. Dude, I'm gonna fucking call my mom and tell her how awesome this is and how we gotta fucking see this shit together.
I'm a registered nurse and I believe in science. I'm just so happy that tonight we had proof that there is something else out there. I believe what I saw was real. They did everything to try to debunk it. I hope the whole world gets to see this.
What was that?
What? That was a ghost! Daddy, out!
Completely looks at the camera.
Gnarly,
and then quickly disappears again.
Oh my god!
That all day.
This is my birthday gift. Was amazing. This is freaking amazing. This guy, like, ooh, amazing, right?
Yes, as a matter of fact, and I feel very fortunate to have been part of this because I finally see an actual ghost. This is awesome. This is awesome.
I was skeptical at first, and then literally I could feel when my heart started beating again. I loved it and highly recommend it. It was amazing.
Ghosts are real, that film was awesome. Finally like seeing somebody who's documenting some real stuff. Guy was relentless on giving them help.
I loved it. It was presented by a very charismatic man.
I trust Chad. First time I saw him when he was on Paranormal State, I said, I like that guy. That's why we're here tonight.
It was going to be a documentary about me debunking him.
That was the original plan.
That was the plan, was to prove that this was a hoax. I mean, I dug into his life, his case. Every road that I went down just led to a dead end.
First thoughts was it was really terrifying. I've never seen anything like that.
This is by far the creepiest thing that we have ever seen.
I've never seen nothing like it before in my life.
Never seen anything like that before on film.
I've never seen anything like that before.
This is not like anything I've seen.
I've never seen anything like that.
Words can't describe what you saw.
I was totally enthralled with the Q&A that was given by Chad.
When it was all said and done, I had chills. It was surreal.
Very surreal. Absolutely amazing. I loved the open questions as well. I got a lot of questions answered. So I would definitely recommend this to anybody.
Mind blowing. If you're not a believer, watch this movie, you soon will be.
I wasn't expecting there to be that clear of an apparition.
Welcome everybody back to PARAMERICAN Radio. It is once again that time for Mr. Tinder Steve Zilberman to take us down the glorious rabbit hole. What is weird in the world, Steve?
So a lot of the glory hole, the glorious rabbit hole.
Oh man,
the glory rabbit hole.
Well, I'm not.
Hey Steve,
I'm not going to test out. I'm not going to test out the glory hole, but I don't know if you guys were familiar, but this is an older story that Estonia was the first country to do an online citizenship, so an online ID. So, for example, you apply for it, and once you get it, then you have access to various government things like voting, medical records, hospitals. They're basically, because Estonia was also the first country to have internet countrywide. Everywhere.
Right.
They're really progressive. So anyway, this happened years ago, and just recently they had a security flaw. That's what they're calling it, and they had to shut the system down. So now you have like millions or hundreds of thousands or however many people that are unable to vote or unable to do anything. And I just thought this was really interesting because we're moving towards this society, this internet-based.
Usually they have countrywide internet. Anywhere you go, you can just get the web.
In the forest, literally. You can go in the middle of the forest and they'll have web. Yeah, it's crazy. They have like all these balloons
and it's
everywhere.
Free?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Is it fast?
Actually, yes, it is really fast.
Wow.
It is.
Crazy.
It wasn't when I was there. I was there during like the most popular time ever. This is an event that happens once every 5 years. In fact, it was the event that signified the loss of the Soviet Union's grip over Europe.
Gotcha.
Because so yeah. Anyway. So when I was there, it wasn't as fast, but I heard that's why, because you have like millions of people that were flooding in there. But yeah, anyway, I just thought it was so interesting because they're so progressive, and if we do head towards that route of everything being digitalized, look, even governments can get hacked. Now you have all these people. Like I don't know what they're gonna do, or if they're gonna fix it, if it's gonna come back.
Well, I wonder if
I wonder if it's similar to like at a Starbucks here. You go close to the Starbucks so you can use their Wi-Fi. I wonder if like people in other surrounding countries kind of drive closer to Estonia.
Right. That's funny. Yeah, I bet.
You got it over there? I don't think so. Yeah. Well, that's weird. Well, that goes back to the big fear, the EMP bursts, or whatever they're worried about from the sun taking shit down. They were talking about that happening all this week. Yesterday, they were talking about that happening for the colossal joke that the Antifa thing ended up being, with like nothing going on besides people walking around going, "Trump sucks." Like nothing happened, man. But they were talking about supposedly there's some EMP blast drill that was going to be going on yesterday as well too. But that's the big fear of going. What I've heard is the biggest fear of everybody being connected to something. It's not really anything on the ground per se, because like there's backups of backups of backups of records to show like who owns what money, who owns what property, medical. So the major fear is what I've heard is that and this is an odd thing that you don't really think about, is most of the planes that are flying around in the sky, over America right now, for example, they're all like they're pilotless, man. The pilots are up there just to push buttons and let them run their shit. Like when they say they practically fly themselves, no, they do. They do. They type in. So if they're on a grid that like leans them, brings them, and that thing just shuts down.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like one of the biggest concerns that people have are planes. That's one of the biggest concerns, is them falling out of the fucking sky.
Wow. Into cities. Yeah.
Just, or going haywire. Not even just. I mean, that's one of the biggest concerns we have with like anti-terrorism, is that hackers would get a hold of the grid that guides the planes in, and you know what I mean?
Well, and that could happen naturally too. I mean, it's happened in Canada a few times where sometimes the sun has solar flares, and if one kind of goes in the direction of, even if it comes close to the world.
That's what that EMP blast is, right? It knocks out the grid.
Right. Well, it went far enough into the atmosphere where it knocked out some computers and stuff in Canada, where it just wiped them.
Do you remember that happened in New York in was it the early 90s or the late 80s? That huge blackout.
We're right on. We're on track for like timing wise. I guess one major one happens every so many years.
Yeah.
And like right now is like, anytime in the next 6 months between now, we're due for it.
I heard it was. I heard it was like. I heard about that last year, even that it was due last year.
We're like in the time frame where it should go down.
Same with the big earthquake in California.
We're way past due for that one. That's what's scary. We're way past due for that.
I don't know if this is
true.
And
we're just here sitting around, talking.
I'd like to look it up and see if it's true, but they always say if one of those came directly at the Earth, it would totally wipe out all communications and everything.
That's what I heard. It was a direct hit, right?
Yeah.
Weird. All right, man, what else you got?
All right, so this next one is researchers at, University of California. They are prepping to take the first Earth dwellers into interstellar space. And interstellar space is different from space as we think about it, because interstellar space is basically here's a good metaphor. It's the hoods of the space. It's like it's where there's a lot of like gamma rays and just basically places that we've been too scared to go through because we don't know what would happen to our bodies. Even if we're in a ship and there's like gamma rays and like particle dust and all this stuff, like what's going to happen to us? So they're taking these microorganisms, which they're called, oh my gosh, there's no way I'm ever gonna I'll try. Ceanohabititis elegans and tardigrades.
You know what tardigrade is? The tardigrades are those little things. I'll show you a picture of them.
Yeah,
they live through anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Bro.
Yeah,
they live through a nuclear blast. They live through oxygen deprived environment.
Right.
Like, they live through fucking
yeah.
anything.
So they're taking them to see if they'll live through the harshest environment that we could ever. And
they have no known natural cause of death. They can live through anything.
Yeah, and this is just another one of those things that because what did we do like before we went to before we had humans in space? We had like monkeys or so it's just another step closer to interstellar space travel.
Yeah, that's crazy, dude. I love all these updates about this shit. What I love about something like that is the answer is to why would you do it? The answer is why not, and that's killer. That's awesome. Why would you do that? Well, I want to see what the fuck happens to the tardigrade in this dump hole of space. You know what I mean? It's just crazy that someone's putting that much money behind something like that. But the tardigrade, they're goofy looking creatures. The images up. There's close-ups of them that are so funny, dude.
Oh, their face.
Yeah, and I'm like, that's a fucking animal or that's a bug or whatever. Because it's basically a bug, right? That's what it is. Is the tardigrade is some.
Yeah, it's a single-celled organism.
Yeah, it's here you go. This is the fucking picture I was talking about. I don't know. Hey, Mom. Look at that thing.
That's a tardigrade?
Yeah, that's a tardigrade.
So funny.
Wow.
Yeah.
That looks like a space alien.
It has little hands, it has little feet, it has arms and legs. Face, that's a tardigrade.
Maybe it is a space alien, man. I mean,
it's crazy.
We're bringing them home, man. And once they get home, they their intelligence comes back, and they come back and
that's tardigrade right there.
They come back. They ride back on little spheres.
Oh, microscopic.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And there's another one. Holy yee. They got 6 legs, 6 arms and legs, and little claws, and that's crazy. Yeah. The tardigrade. Fair enough. Good deal. Awesome. What else you got? How much say that looks so cool,
This next one is, so I didn't find it as interesting, but the person who did this study says that this is going to change textbooks all around the world. But this guy's been studying alligators for years, and turns out that alligators eat sharks, sea turtles, crabs. They eat a ton of saltwater animals and
sharks.
Right? Yeah. That. Can you even imagine an alligator eating a shark?
What is that? What kind of shark? I guess. I mean, those are little small sharks and.
Okay, fair enough. They didn't specify exactly what kind of shark. They just specified that they eat saltwater.
Yeah.
Animals.
I guess it really couldn't eat a great white. I mean, how would that work?
I don't know, man.
Look, did you guys learn that tardigrades eat alligators? Now look at that photo, man.
That looks like a freaking pose. Wow. That's not real.
Yeah, it's real.
That's real.
Yes, that's a real photo of a tardigrade. Yes.
What?
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
What? Yeah,
if you're watching this right now, I'll cut you can see this picture. It's wicked, man.
Jesus, man.
Yeah.
It looks like another alien movie. They could just take those design the
Right.
scariest animal.
No.
Okay, so they learned that alligators eat sharks.
Yeah. They eat everything.
You know what I also heard?
Well, okay, so think about this. So they eat everything, right? They eat other predators, and who's the oldest living species around? Alligators, right? So it's because they're able to adapt and change, basically changing their position in the predatory scale.
The diet means they're long standing.
Right, exactly.
It's like against the koala that only eats this one damn plant. Right. What happens to that plant?
Do you guys know that there's no natural known form of death for the alligator? That's why they're all trying to do medicines on. They don't get cancer. They don't. The only way they die is through attacking each other or to be killed.
Wow.
That's it. There's no.
They don't die of old age?
Nope. There's no natural known death.
They don't die of old age.
I've read this before that there's no natural known form of death. Alligators or crocodiles, I think.
Crocodiles have no such thing as old age. Yeah. A 7-year-old crocodile is as good as a 70-year-old one. In terms of agility and other life.
Sorry, I was wrong. It was crocodiles, not alligators.
Okay, how about
aging has no
700-year-old?
Yeah.
But is there like a 700-year-old crocodile?
Well, they don't get cancer. They don't get there's all kinds of studies going on with crocodiles where they're trying to figure out how they could use the crocodile, whatever it is, to help us human beings, like with forms of medicine and shit. Because they just don't have a natural form of death.
How the fuck did I never know this, dude?
Well, there's a jellyfish too, and I think a turtle.
It's not a small thing not to know. I mean, it ends here though saying, although they can't die of natural aging, they also can't live forever.
Well, because at some point someone will kill them or they'll kill each other, so they'll attack them.
So what if they don't? What if you just take a crocodile and just keep them?
Then it would live forever. Yeah.
So then they do have some. Yeah, I mean, if you...
This is so
weird,
man.
When someone says there's no natural known form of death, that means if they were left alone, they would never die.
Wow.
The amazing part is that it still has the same agility from a 7-year-old to a 70-year-old or whatever.
Yeah. They never get cancer. They never get diseases or illnesses. They never get shit. Nothing ever.
Huh.
They don't argue.
So they've been trying for years to try to figure out what is it. They don't know to this date. I watched the whole documentary. They don't know to this day why or what it is about their body that pushes disease away and everything else. They don't. Yeah.
They remove drama out of their lives and everything.
Yeah, there's no stress.
There are no female crocodiles.
They sit around all day, fucking motionless, staring at the sky. That's how they fucking. They just don't give two shits about the world. That's why.
It's just a bunch of male crocodiles. That's why they live forever. No problems, man.
Yeah. Dude, I tell you why. They're fucking have no stress because they know they're never going to die. They're just like, I'm good. I'm straight forever.
Yeah.
No matter what you guys do, I'm good down here at the water.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
You fuck your stuff's over forever. I'm good for life. Chilling. Have fun up there.
That would be a boring real world crocodiles.
Yeah. And I come back the next day, they're still sitting there. Still the same age. Still the same age. No, that's crazy. Well, there's all kinds of weird things. Like there's a bird. I forget the name of it. There's a bird that flies while it's sleeping.
What?
Yeah, there's a bird that naturally flies while it's asleep. Sharks never sleep. Great whites never sleep. It's the only animal that doesn't sleep. Which explains why they're so fucking pissed.
Right, exactly, yeah.
For real.
Right.
And their bodies are naturally deformed where they swim, it pushes them downward. Wow. So they're always fighting to stay level. That's why they're so strong and big. So they can't sleep.
What a freaky thing, man. You just look at a shark and it seems like it's not awake. It's like asleep but awake. Yeah. You know, it's like a zombie. It's just eyes are like...
It goes by its eyes. I'm going to rip your fucking head off as it goes right by. Yeah, it's crazy.
Gosh, man, those are scary.
Cool, good stuff. Well, once again, Chad proved he knows his shit as Justin quickly tried to run to the web to see if he was wrong about fucking... I said alligators. Sorry, it's crocodiles. Justin was trying to prove me wrong, but... I knew what the fuck I was talking about. Just for what it's worth, I was as shocked as you were when I first saw that.
How could I not check that out? I mean, come on, the steel ball, all that stuff. This is kind of unbelievable stuff. I would think I'm only doing my...
But you got to remember, too, dude, you're Mr. Politician, and you had a huge fight with me as to whether or not Barack had the House and the Senate. And I said he did. You said he did, and you were wrong about that. So you just miss some shit sometimes, you know? Our brains can't contain everything, dog.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But again, for what it's worth, I was as fucking floored as you were, and I was like, what the fuck? I looked it up and read about it and all this shit. And I watched this whole documentary about it, and I'm like, so they're straight. They're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, unless people kill them or unless they kill each other, they're good. Yeah. I'm like, that's fucked up, man.
It must be hereditary. I remember one day we're driving home from church, and Dad's like, I can't remember the conversation, but he's like, a negative and a negative. Multiply a negative and a negative, and it's a negative. And we're like, no, Dad, it's not. It's a positive. You multiply two negatives. No, it's not. A negative times a negative is a negative. We just kept going back and forth, and he was like so sure of it. We literally looked it up when we got home, and he's like, what? No. What? Anyway.
That's funny. All right, well, let's get to some questions. We had 3 questions here that are all, pretty cool. I thought pretty fun to answer. The first one is actually for Justin and I. Justin and Chad, you guys have been making films for a long time. This is Shauna from Philadelphia. This is actually, I think I met, Shauna, I think I know who you are. I met you, and you talked to me a little bit about this when I was there. Justin and Chad, you've worked together for so long. What is the best and worst things about working with each other? Honestly, being completely real, the best thing about working with Justin, I think, when we're making films, because I think that's a different animal than anything else, is Justin. There's a total unwritten level of communication that he just knows what the fuck I want to do, and he's usually kind of beating me to it. He can usually kind of see what it is that I want to go to. The bad thing, like anything, man, we're so fucking close. It's easy for us to fight. It's just when you have no veil between somebody, it's just easy to be a dick to them, you know. So we get into our fights, but I think over time we've kind of learned when it's best to just put some space between each other too. So yeah, that's my answer to that basically.
I'd say okay. Then the best thing with Chad, it's probably. I don't know if it's that you kind of push so hard that most people wouldn't do crazy things or, push the envelope because, it's hard, and Chad's good at pushing you into incredibly crazy situations that end up being life memories because on your own accord, most people would never go there. They would think, nah, it's impossible. I mean, you can't do that. It's I guess it's probably like creating Tesla motors or, self-driving cars or whatever. Yeah. It's not an easy road to get there, but I think it is your ability to believe so much. Yeah. Once you have your idea on something, you believe so much that that's going to be the case that it's you literally have that Debbie Calek. There's no way I'm not.
Well, it's just if I could see it, if I could see it in my head for real, how we can get there, then yeah, I'm pretty hell bent on it.
Yeah. Yeah. And then it gives us pretty much the same boat house, yeah.
Okay. Steve. This is from Kelly from Hemet, California. Hemet, California. Steve, I loved your millennial videos from the Cernoface tour. Can you really tell that you are a millennial in comparison to the company you keep? I mean, versus the older people on the bus. Can you tell that you're a millennial compared to us?
No, actually not at all.
Really?
Well, okay, there's always times. Like, for example, we got into this big argument on the tour bus about going hard in the paint because I know that term from Hard in the Paint. It's a Waka Flocka song, and that I was like, I just assumed he made it up or whatever.
Basically, what happened is Steve and Jake and I were walking, and they said Waka Flocka created Hard in the Paint, and I go,
no, he didn't.
No, that was the term that's been saying it. No, he did. He created it. He created the term.
No, okay, right.
Guys, he did not create the term.
It was not like that. I mean, eventually, I started saying, like, us as millennials believe that he created it because
that's where you got it from.
Right, exactly. Right. Yeah, no, but yeah, we can go on like all day about this, but long story short, no, for the most part, not at all. And I don't know if it's just because I naturally always work or hang around older people that like maybe I lost that sense of being a millennial, but there's definitely like that one example of things happening all the time that like, I step back and I'm like, oh wait, man, I am a lot younger.
I only notice it in the small ways and they're cultural things. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, and I don't mean this, but I do think there's a different kind of work ethic. I don't want to say different, meaning that millennials approach things just a different fucking way than people a little bit older do. We're more like, roll your sleeves up and get it fucking done. You know what I mean? Millennials are more like, let me find a way to get it done, but in a shortcut kind of way.
You know what? It's funny. So I was over at Steve's when they had that night we were going to come. Steve was working all night. Tom's friend Brittany came over, and we're having this discussion exactly on this. And she was talking about how people of the older generation think their work ethic sucks. And her response was basically that when you grow up with parents where the hours start getting longer, everybody kind of notices Americans generally work a lot harder. If you go to a lot of other countries, that's that same saying that they work to live and Americans live to work, right? Yeah. So, and you really start seeing that's true when you go to different countries. But she was saying growing up, when you start seeing that the piece of the pie is getting smaller and smaller, and it's gotten that way, and your parents work all the time and do all this, you're looking at it, and from your perspective, from their perspective, they see how unhappy they are, and they don't want to do that. So they're not going to be willing to work all the time for $10 or $9 an hour, you know?
Right.
If somebody says, well, why didn't you come in early, whatever, like, it's almost like they're thinking in their head, you know what, fuck that shit. I'm not going to do that for $9 an hour or whatever, you know?
Right.
And it's almost like, from her perspective, the way that she was saying, it's almost like you're taking a stand. This generation saw the hours getting longer, the vacations and everything else getting
it's
shorter.
interesting that she said that. I don't know if you know who she is, but
she's a slave driver. Yeah.
Yeah. The way Tom described it to me is like she's the hardest. He said ever since he's known her, since she was 14, 15 years old, she's had 3 different jobs.
Yeah.
She's like worked her way.
Nobody
to
knows who either of you guys are talking about right now. Who's Tom?
Sorry, Tom is Steve's
my
roommate.
Okay,
Yeah,
and who's this girl?
That's why I said it's Tom's friend, but I didn't say who Tom was. Tom, Steve's roommate, a friend of his came over the other day.
Well,
when I wasn't there.
What I was saying is I noticed it more in cultural things than anything else. Like things like when you had what was that thing you never heard of? Oh, I'll Get Out.
Oh yeah, right. That was a weird one,
things
man.
Like that. That's when I noticed it more than anything else.
That sounds so weird to me still.
I think there's definitely a difference in an approach to how we work, but I think it's more I notice it in cultural stuff. Like I forget sometimes I talk about shit that I think is totally everybody knows it, and then I realize, holy shit, you wouldn't know that unless you were around, 10 years before you were. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
that's true.
Yeah, but I also think that's good for us. I think it's good for us to be around a younger, I guess, culturally younger person to identify with what's important in your world.
Right. No,
it's our world.
It's true.
I think it's massively important.
It's true. And funny enough, I don't want to say I don't get along with other millennials, but I don't really hang around other millennials unless they're in the same boat as me. Whereas, they're a millennial, but they don't really surround themselves with all millennials, you know. And I mean, and also like we're talking like really black and white. Like obviously there's a gray area. And,
right.
Right.
I
don't want to like offend anyone.
Just asking. Yeah, I totally get it. Yeah. The last question is Chad. So with Sir No Face coming out, what is your next film going to be? Karen from Minneapolis. Karen, I can tell you, but I'd have to kill you. Honestly, I mean, I think I know, but it would be no fun to tell you right now because the second I say what it is, and everyone's going to want, where's the trailer? Where's this? Where's that? It's just too early right now. We're not done with the Sir No Face cycle yet, not even close. So stay tuned. Thanks, everybody, for the questions. Thanks for tuning in to PARAMERICAN Radio once again. Another good episode, another good time.
Wow, is it over?
It's over.
That one went
fast. Banging, yeah. It's over an hour.
It's a good time.
Over an hour. Banging. Blueya. Justin and Steve say goodbye.
We'll see ya.
Hasta luego.
Peace, everybody.
PARAMERICAN Radio.